Before this video gets started, I want to be real with you guys for a second. Real talk. Have you guys ever seen a movie and as soon as it started, you're like, I'm in trouble. There's something off about this movie. I don't really know what it is yet, but I can tell that I'm in for a rough ride. Hey guys, my name is Brandon, aka the BrandoCritic, and on this channel it's my job to point you in the direction of movies worth checking out. So that interests you, make sure you hit like and subscribe. And recently I just partnered with Movie Scene Canada, so make sure you check them out as well for the latest reviews, news, contests, and reactions. But today I'm here to tell you whether or not Spell is worth a watch. Now, spoiler alert, if you guys didn't guess from that opening, this is gonna be a tough one. But right away, this movie starts and I'm like, uh-oh. Something feels very off about this movie. The dialogue felt very amateur. Right off the bat, I'm like, uh-oh, this isn't good. The acting felt off. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good either. It felt off, right? It's like, yeah, if you have a solid movie here, this movie is kind of right here. If you know what I mean? The cinematography had some very weird angles right from the start. And from the story, we learn about, our main character's dead father. We realize that some of the kids are being bullied on social media, which really doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the movie. And the color grading was just so weird, right? I don't know if it was the screener that I was watching. I don't know if this is going to be different in the theater when you guys watch it in the theater, if you guys watch it in the theater, of course. But I don't know, man. The colors in this movie were just, and I'm not really a person to really look at the colors and go, oh, the color grading was off, because I'm not the biggest color enthusiast, but I noticed it in this movie. I'm like, what is going on with the color grading in this movie? And I looked at that all within the first 5 minutes. And I'm like, this is gonna be a shit show. Now, granted, the third act of this movie, I quite enjoyed, quite a bit. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought it was campy. I thought it was hokey. I thought that they were getting creative with it finally, and they were finally living up to this movie's potential. But oh my god, it's a rough road to get to that third act. And I think to me that the biggest problem with this movie, regardless of the weird acting, the weird dialogue, the weird cinematography, the weird color grading, just the weird choices in this movie, is that the characters. I don't know anything about them. The movie hasn't given me a reason to care about what happens to these characters. So I don't care what happens to these characters. Of course, our characters are in a plane, then they crash, and they end up in this very weird type of farmland, and I'm not going to spoil what happens because there's just a lot of weird stuff going on in this farm. But I don't care what's happening on this farm, because the movie didn't give me a reason to. And because of that, there's no intrigue, there's no suspense, there's no tension. I don't care what happens to these characters. Why should I care about any of this? Now, I do realize that this movie was trying to do some social commentary. I don't really know what the social commentary is, right? Like, our main characters, they're a very wealthy African-American family, right? You see them with very fancy house. The main character's really well off. He's a very successful businessman. He owns his own plane that he likes to take his family out in. Totally cool. But then as soon as they get to the place, all the people in the town are acting very weird towards them. Like, there's this one character that goes up to our family and they start talking about them and they go, hey man, you got any service here? And the guy goes, man, slavery's been gone for a long time. And I'm like, okay, what's happening? Are we going down the antebellum, social commentary route? And again, maybe I'm not the right person to really look into that, but I know that the movie was trying to say something deeper about society, about race, about the time period, but I don't understand it. Whatever they were trying to say, they didn't make it very clear. Let's just say that. And again, just like Antebellum, I thought this movie had a pretty interesting premise. And I thought that this movie had potential. And in the third act, it started to live up to that potential. I'm like, yes, this is the movie that I wanted to see. Where the hell was that movie for the first an hour and 10 minutes of the movie? Right? Where was it? So unfortunately, a fun third act is not enough to save this movie, because I cannot recommend someone actually sit down and watch first and second act just to get to the third act. I can't do that. So as for a rating, I'm going to give it a 1 out of 5. This movie was just not for me. And it wasn't too scary. It wasn't too intriguing. Right at the end, I'm like, okay, I see what you're trying to do, movie, and I'm invested. You got me invested, but a little too late. So unfortunately, I have to give a thumbs down to Spell. It sucks to say that, but I can't lie to you guys. I didn't like this movie. But what about you guys? Have you guys seen Spell? What am I missing? Am I just out to lunch on this one? Let me know down in the comment section down below. And if you're new here and you want to see more content just like this one, then definitely hit like and subscribe. And take it easy this Halloween, guys. Take care.